It's 9:40 local time, October 21st, 2025. Over the Western Pacific, east of Luzon, the USS Ronald Reagan Strike Group suddenly picks up two unknown radar tracks fast, closing from the northwest. Alarms echo through steel corridors. Pilots sprint for their Super Hornets. On deck, jet engines scream to life. Outside, the early sunlight flashes off the waves as two J-16 fighters cut in low, fast, armed. Within seconds, contrails streak across the sky, missiles already inbound. The carrier's escorts USS Milius and USS Shiloh turn hard to intercept. CIC calls out bearing and range updates every 3 seconds. Sparks fly as CIWS turrets warm up. Crewmen strap in, hands shaking but steady. On the command deck, officers watch radar icons merge and split friend or foe, life or death, flashing in green and red. The sea is calm, the tension anything but. Radios crackle, weapons free. The next minute will decide whether this fleet survives or burns. The Western Pacific isn't just open water, it's the artery of global trade. Every ship that passes through these lanes carries the fuel, food, and goods that keep homes, markets, and cities alive. That's why the USS Ronald Reagan and her escorts are here standing watch, ensuring the sea stays open for everyone. But this morning, that calm routine snaps. Two Chinese J-16 cross the invisible line, meant to keep distance between powers. For Washington, it's a direct challenge. For Beijing, it's a test of resolve. And for everyone aboard these ships, it's suddenly personal. Each radar ping now carries weight. A wrong decision could turn a warning into war. The carrier's air wing launches Super Hornets and Growlers roaring into formation. The E-2D Hawkeye climbs higher, its radar sweeping wide arcs for any hidden threat. Sailors whisper quiet prayers between clipped orders. They've drilled for this 100 times, but no drill captures the sound of a missile tone in your headset or the shaking deck under full alert. In the Combat Information Center, red lights flash against faces tense but calm. Track confirmed. Weapons tight. The strike group moves like one heartbeat, each destroyer locking its sector, each cruiser ready to intercept. Out here, seconds equal survival, and hesitation kills. The ocean feels endless, yet every man and woman on deck knows how small this patch of steel really is. Now picture yourself standing among them, enemy blips closing fast, the radio crackling for permission to fire. What would you do? Hold your shot and hope restraint wins the day, or strike first and end the threat before it begins? Tell us what you'd choose. Press 1 to hold the line, or 9 to fire first. Let's see which instinct speaks louder, discipline or defense. 9:47, 7 minutes since the first contact. The E-2D Hawkeye locks onto two fast-moving targets, Chinese J-16, now well inside the carrier group's air defense bubble. Hostile confirmed. The order echoes through the fleet. USS Milius and USS Shiloh switch to combat mode. Vertical launch cells open, smoke hissing out as the first SM-2 missiles streak into the sky. The destroyer's radars track each incoming shot, guiding them with precision. Seconds later, two bright flashes bloom in the distance, mid-air detonations. Cheers rise briefly, but no one relaxes. The J-16 dive, dropping chaff and flares before releasing their PL-12 air-to-air missiles aimed straight at the Hawkeye's radar eye. It's a high-value kill, blinding the fleet if it goes down. The E-2D banks hard, countermeasures flaring, while the Milius launches another SM-2 to intercept. A heartbeat later impact. A white sphere of smoke bursts across the sky, missile fragments scattering. The Hawkeye escapes by a few seconds. Below, the sea churns as Chinese warships, one Type 052D destroyer and one Type 54 Amperes frigate join the attack. Radar operators call out new tracks, YJ-83 and YJ-12 anti-ship missiles inbound, multiple bearings. The USS Decatur and USS Lake Erie respond instantly, firing ESSMs and SM-3 interceptors. It's a storm of vapor trails, crossing like spears in the morning light. The first wave explodes far out. The second wave comes lower, skimming the water. CIWS Phalanx turrets roar. filling the air with tracer fire. Every gunner knows the math: miss once, and a billion-dollar ship goes under. Sparks rain from the barrels, the rhythm of survival hammering through steel and heartbeats. On the flight deck, crewmen duck beneath spinning jet exhaust as Super Hornets roar down the catapults. Clear to launch! The deck shakes, bolts rattling loose. Above, EA-18G Growlers jam enemy radars, slicing invisible noise through the sky. The ocean horizon flickers with explosions white, orange, and blue. Over the radio, one calm command cuts through the chaos. All ships, maintain defense grid, prepare counterstrike. The voice is calm, steady, practiced. Beneath it, everyone feels the same pulse. The battle has only just begun. 9:56. The radar screens glow red with new contacts, more inbound missiles, lower and faster. The first wave was only the opening act. Chinese launchers aboard the crippled Type 052D fire again, while drones rise from its deck, small and fast, swarming toward the fleet. Multiple bogies bearing 095. The call crackles across the net. USS Lake Erie and USS Decatur shift formation, closing ranks to shield the carrier. The Reagan's deck becomes a controlled storm jets launching, others landing with scorched tails. Every 30 seconds, another aircraft catapults off. The coordination is razor tight. One mistake could end in fire. CIC officers bark short commands, no wasted words. Sector 3 engage. SM-2 leaps skyward once more, their exhaust blinding against the dawn. The second Chinese frigate, already hit, still fights back. YJ-12 sliced through sea mist, skimming barely above the waves. ESSMs launch and reply 1, 2, 3, each guided by radar locks and sheer instinct. On the bridge, the captain orders a 10-degree turn to starboard enough to reduce the ship's radar cross-section. The hull groans, spray lashes the deck. Suddenly, one missile breaks through the outer defenses. The CIWS mounts rotate, screaming to life. Tracer rounds fill the air, glowing red-hot. The missile disintegrates just short of impact debris raining across the bow like metallic hail. A cheer erupts, brief and raw, but the crew knows it's not over. The radio bursts alive again. Enemy launch detected shore battery heading west. A DF-21D ballistic missile, fired from far inland, arcs high above the clouds. The fleet braces. USS Shiloh's crew readies the SM-3 interceptors, their last and highest shield. The missile fires bright as sunrise and climbs. Everyone holds their breath. Silence, then a flash impact confirmed. The DF-21D is gone. The sea falls quiet for the first time in 20 minutes. Yet the air still hums with tension, thick and electric. If you were in that command room, would you press forward or hold the line after that near hit? Comment your choice below. Press 1 to stand firm or 9 to strike back harder. The next move decides who owns the Pacific sky. 10-5. The sky over the Pacific clears for a heartbeat. Then the unexpected happens. Radar operators detect a swarm of small, low-signature contacts emerging from behind the debris field. Not missiles this time, unmanned sea-skimming drones, fast and coordinated, moving like a pack of predators. They weave through radar clutter, too small for long-range interceptors. The twist has arrived. New contacts, 30 plus, someone shouts. The system can't lock all of them. USS Decatur and USS Milius switch from missile defense to gun mode. 5-inch cannons thunder, hurling shells into the horizon. The CIWS mounts spin again, tracking one drone after another. But the swarm splits half, diving toward the cruisers. The rest circling low toward the carrier. On the flight deck, pilots spot the white wake slicing toward them. It feels unreal. Machines the size of cars, skimming the ocean at blistering speed. Super Hornets dive to intercept, firing short bursts from their cannons. One drone explodes in a flash, but two more slip through, relentless. Inside CIC, the air is electric. Officers shout over the noise, juggling radar feeds and weapon control. Shift power to forward defenses. The Growlers jam the enemy links, flooding control signals with noise. For a moment, the swarm hesitates. Some drones lose guidance and slam into the sea. Others keep coming faster than ever. A deep shudder runs through the Reagan as one drone detonates barely 100 meters off the bow, sending a wall of seawater across the deck. Lights flicker. The crew holds steady, soaked, and silent. The Pacific roars around them, but no one knows if that blast was the last or just the beginning. 10, 14. The battle reaches knife range. Smoke rolls across the sea like storm clouds. The last wave of drones and missiles closes in, low and lethal. Every ship fires at once. Guns, missiles, countermeasures all layered into a wall of steel and flame. The air smells of cordite and salt. Every second is survival. USS Milius takes the lead, guns blazing. Her phalanx turrets spit hundreds of rounds per second, tracing red arcs through the smoke. 2 drones explode mid-air. Another slams into the water, detonating in a boiling flash. The bridge shudders but stays intact. The crew moves like clockwork, calm, drilled, fearless. A new alert cuts through the noise. Incoming 5, YJ-12, bearing 180. The missiles roar in from the south, sea-skimming and weaving. USS Shiloh launches her last 2 SM-3 interceptors. They rise like silver spears, locking on fast. One finds its mark impact at altitude. The second misses. 3 missiles remain. Prepare CIWS. Brace for close intercept. The order blares over loudspeakers. On the deck of the Reagan, sailors crouch behind barriers as tracers rip overhead. The ship lists under the recoil of its guns. 1 missile bursts apart under concentrated fire. Another grazes the hull, shockwaves rattling every bulkhead. Then silence breaks again. A flash. 1 YJ-12 slips through, screaming toward the carrier's starboard side. Time slows. Every gun swings as one. The phalanx opens up, spitting a river of fire. The missile disintegrates in mid-air, fragments hammering the sea in molten rain. Cheers erupt across the ship. Some cry, some just stare. They're alive. The sea is littered with wreckage, metal shards, burning fuel, drifting silence. Over the comms, voices check in one by one. All ships operational, no losses. For a moment, the Pacific is still. The adrenaline drains away, leaving shaking hands and stunned faces. No one celebrates, they just breathe. Above them, the sun breaks through the smoke. The Reagan's flag still flies, torn but standing. The surviving Chinese ships turn away, retreating east. Victory but a heavy one. The ocean itself feels like it's holding its breath. If you were in command now, staring at the retreating enemy and the burning sea, would you chase them down or hold position? Drop your choice below, press 1 to pursue or 9 to hold the line. Because sometimes, the hardest fight begins the moment the shooting stops. 10:40. The sea that burned minutes ago is calm again. Smoke lingers over the wrecks, drifting east with the wind. On the Reagan's deck, sailors walk among scattered shell casings and scorched metal, their faces streaked with salt and soot. The adrenaline is gone, but the silence feels heavier than the fight itself. The radio chatter softens. All ships accounted for, no casualties. Relief ripples quietly through the fleet. Yet beneath that relief lies something colder, the realization that this wasn't just a skirmish. It was a message, broadcast in missiles and fire. China's ships retreat beyond radar range, damaged but defiant. Somewhere inland, new signatures flicker, mobile launchers repositioning, satellites shifting orbits. The Pacific looks vast again, but everyone aboard knows how small it just became. The distance between deterrence and open war has never felt thinner. Inside the Reagan's Combat Information Center, the lights dim, maps update, contact lines fade, and for the first time in hours, no one speaks. Then, the captain breaks the silence. We held the line today, but the next one won't wait as long. His voice is steady, but his eyes don't leave the horizon. In Washington, analysts will call it a victory. In Beijing, state media will call it restraint. Out here, it feels like balance on the edge of a knife, one spark away from chaos. The ocean carries echoes of what just happened, a warning written in static and salt. Above, the sky shifts from orange to deep gray. The sun dips behind the wrecks, and the sea swallows the last traces of fire. The crew stands at the rails, watching the light fade from the battlefield they just survived. Some whisper prayers, others stare into the endless blue, wondering how long it will last. If you were watching this from the bridge, would you see this as peace kept or peace postponed? Comment your view. Press 1 if you believe the peace held, or 9 if you think it's only the calm before the next storm. The ocean is silent again. But somewhere beneath that stillness, the next move is already forming. It's 10:45 a.m., the 27th of September 2025. The waters of the Taiwan Strait look calm until a sharp tone cracks across the bridge of USS Higgins, a U.S. destroyer on a freedom of navigation run. The radar screen flashes. 2 fast-moving contacts from the west, altitude shifting, track steady. Alarms sound. Sailors snap to stations. Outside, sunlight glitters on swells as the ship's Spy 1 DV locks on. The contacts are unmanned aircraft, Chinese-made, closing inside 6 kilometers. In Combat Information Center, voices stay clipped. One wrong move could turn a patrol into a crisis. Track and classify. Weapons tight, the captain orders. Then another spike. A Type 50 2D lights a brief 3-second radar illumination, short, deliberate, enough to say, "We see you." Flight deck crews spin up an MH-60R with FLIR and ESM. A Sea Guardian orbits high, feeding Link 16 updates. On the bow, a non-lethal laser dazzler stands ready. The ship holds fire. Cameras roll. Evidence matters tonight. The Taiwan Strait has long been a line neither side wants to cross, but both test daily. For the U.S., every patrol by USS Higgins is a statement. Freedom of navigation isn't up for debate. For China, every approach is a reminder that these are their waters. Between them, 45 nautical miles of open sea hold the world's most dangerous calm. That morning, Higgins wasn't hunting, it was proving presence. The destroyer's job: protect global trade routes that move trillions in goods each year. Fuel, chips, food, all flow through this narrow corridor. If one encounter turns hostile, markets shake and allies lose faith. The crew knows even a simple UAV can record radar modes and reaction times, intel worth gold in future wars. Overhead, a Sea Guardian circles at 25,000 feet, streaming video. Near the waves, a Mantas T-38 collects signal data. Together they weave an invisible shield eyes without aggression. Across the horizon, a Type 52D shadows in silence. Its radar cold but ready. Above it, BZK-005E drones orbit like hawks, pushing the limit. Both ships ride the median line, about 45 nautical miles east of Kinmen, close enough for eyes on, far enough to avoid a collision course. Both sides stay within rules, no shots, no contact, but every second feels like the edge of something bigger. Each side holds long-range sticks, SM-2 on Higgins, HHQ-9B on the 52D, so restraint isn't just optics, it's survival. To the sailors, this isn't politics, it's trust, precision, and calm under pressure. One wrong call could rewrite the next morning's headlines. For now, Higgins holds steady bow toward the threat. Recorders running, every move archived. And you watching this unfold, what do you think? Should the US keep holding back or push back harder? Comment 1 if you stand with restraint, or 9 if you'd go full response. 10:47 a.m. The first BZK-005E drops lower its altitude cut to just 1,200 meters. On radar, the echo swells as it crosses the port beam at barely 3.5 kilometers. To the crew, it's close enough to see the shape glinting in sunlight. Inside CIC, tension spikes. The captain's voice stays calm. Maintain course. No reaction yet. A soft command follows. Activate Dazzler. On deck, a sailor aligns a green laser deterrent toward the drone. A beam flashes bright, silent, harmless, but unmistakable. It's not aggression, it's a warning. We see you too. The UAV wobbles, banks right, and climbs slightly. Camera pod turning back toward the destroyer like an unblinking eye. At the same time, the Type 52D slides closer, hull number now visible through binoculars. Its radar flicks on again, just seconds, but enough for ESM sensors to log frequency and pulse width. That data is gold for analysts back home. Onboard Higgins, the SPY-1DV switches to full record mode, while Sea Guardian relays the radar signature in real time via Link 16. Every ping, every pixel, stored. 10:49 a.m. The Chinese ship launches a second UAV larger, sleeker, CH-5. It rises fast, its silhouette clear against the haze. But the American MQ-9B above catches the signal burst. Within moments, its electronic suite floods the channel, forcing the CH-5 to divert west after barely 2 minutes. On the Sea Guardian's feed, the second drone's turn is almost graceful, like it realized the game was lost. Below, sailors exhale but don't relax. Stay sharp, the XO reminds them. They're watching how we react. The bridge keeps course steady, 15 knots east, northeast. The sea looks calm again, but everyone knows it's only surface calm underneath. Invisible data warfare is raging. By 10:53, recording systems across all platforms, radar, FLIR, and acoustic logs are running full tilt. A gray MH-60R Seahawk hovers above, cameras rolling, its crew marking every move. From that height, the UAVs look like black dots fleeing into cloud. For a moment, the airwaves go quiet. Then one last blip fades from the screen. No explosions, no shots, just a trail of evidence time-stamped, encrypted, undeniable. 10:54 a.m. The air is thick with tension. The first drones retreat west, but sensors keep painting faint contacts, ghost reflections, maybe decoys. Could be new launches, an operator mutters. The captain leans closer to the radar screen. Hold track, don't blink. Minutes stretch. The Type 52D alters course 5 degrees starboard, barely noticeable, but enough to tighten the distance. It's not aggression, it's pressure. The Chinese ship now rides parallel, less than 8 nautical miles off Higgins Beam. Both vessels exchange coded bridge-to-bridge calls, dry, polite, rehearsed. Every word matters. Every silence louder than gunfire. On the flight deck, MH-60R Seahawk hovers back aboard. Its FLIR pod glows hot from hours of recording. Technicians offload footage and plug into secure storage. Meanwhile, Sea Guardian still circles high, its sensors sweeping for any electromagnetic spike. For a moment, it catches a new emission narrowband radar from the Type 56 Ampere's Corvette just entering range. They're stacking sensors, the Iwu says. 3 layers watching us. The SPY-1DV radar shifts mode again, low power, wide sweep enough to watch without provoking. Below decks, the USV Mantis T-38 surfaces briefly, antennas up, scanning the spectrum for command signals. The bridge crew feels the subtle vibration of the ship's hull engines trimmed to keep noise low, signatures steady. It's like holding your breath for minutes at a time. 10:58. A sharp ping cuts through the comnet. One of the Chinese UAVs returns at the edge of radar range. This time, it flies higher, as if daring the Americans to react. The captain watches the trace for a long second before saying, "Log it." No response. Let the data speak. In the CIC, sailors glance at each other, no words, no panic. The destroyer holds formation, bow steady, weapons tight. Both sides know the math. A single missile launch would drag half the Pacific into the fight. That's why silence feels heavier than any blast. For now, the horizon clears, but the weight doesn't lift. 2 warships, 2 doctrines, both convinced they're right. If you were standing there, hearing that radar tone build, would you stay calm like Higgins? Or fire first to end the pressure? Press 1 to hold your fire, or 9 if you'd break the silence. 11:01 a.m. The radar picture finally steadies. Then a thin trace appears, low and fast. Not an aircraft. Surface contact, bearing 2205 miles. The operator calls. The mark skims the wave tops. The captain studies the return. Fishing boats? No. The pulse is too clean. Analysts flag it in seconds. A fast unmanned surface craft, Chinese-made, running dark. No AIS, no lights, straight for Higgins' projected bow. Amber alert. Below, compartment secure for collision. Topsides, the Mantis T-38 lifts its ESM mast and feeds a steady bearing. Closing 35 knots, the XO says. They're probing the low elevation blind. SPY-1DV dips its look-down sweep. The picture sharpens. A 10-meter hull, planning hard. Not a missile, not yet a weapon, but geometry doesn't lie another minute on this course, and someone must turn. Launch the Seahawk. Mark and record. The captain orders. Weapons remain tight. On the flight deck, rotors bite the air. The MH-60R arcs out and drops into a shallow run. FLIR paints the USV in stark detail. The crew tags coordinates and pushes clips to link 1-6. Gunners run silent checks, then wait. A momentary control link spike, then a flicker. The Type 52D loiters to the west, silent witness. Radios click, then settle. At last the craft yaws 10 degrees, then 20, and slides off the line westbound. Wake spreading. No challenge issue. None answered. Only data and the ache of adrenaline. On Higgins, the captain exhales. Log at unsafe intercept surface, he says. Screens dim a notch. Everyone knows the truth. This wasn't random. Somebody just measured how long the United States will wait. CIC files every ping, every frame. The sea looks calm again, but nobody buys it. 11:05 a.m. The sea is calm again, too calm. But inside USS Higgins, tension hums like electricity. The crew knows this pattern. Silence before another push. On the radar, faint returns flicker at long range. Multiple air contacts, probable drones, the operator calls. The tone in his voice says it all. Round 2. BZK-005E drones reappear, this time at staggered altitudes. One dives low, the other stays high. Classic split tactics to test reaction time. ESM confirms active radar sweep. The electronic officer adds, "They're mapping us." The captain doesn't hesitate. Bring the ship to general quarters. Record everything. Klaxons wail. Boots slam metal decks. The SPY-1DV radar surges to full power, locking both UAV. The crew braces as the destroyer shifts to combat posture. Above, the Sea Guardian dives to shadow the incoming pair, streaming live telemetry. Its feed shows the low drone slicing toward the horizon line just 3 kilometers out. Range 3, 500 meters. Request permission to dazzle again, the weapons officer asks. Granted. A green beam flashes over the sea, scattering through mist. The drone jolts, banking hard left. The second one keeps coming. 11:07. The Type 52D powers up its radar spikes in full illumination mode. For 3 full seconds, the CIC glows with harsh light. "They locked us," someone says quietly. The captain's reply is colder. "Log it. Maintain discipline." The Aegis display pulses red, missiles armed but unfired. In the sky, the second UAV drops low, crossing the bow. The MH-60R swings wide, tracking it on FLIR. The image is crystal clear: markings, wings, payload. That's the shot the Pentagon wants. Undeniable proof of harassment. Seconds later, the drone veers off, engine whining as it retreats west. Silence returns. The ocean looks normal, but every sailor feels the adrenaline still burning. The ship didn't fire, yet every system from radar to missiles was a single command away from combat. On the bridge, the captain watches the empty sky. "Today we held the line," he said softly. But lines don't hold forever. And as the ship's hum settles back to a steady rhythm, the question lingers when the next radar lock comes. What would you do? Stay your hand like Higgins? Or pull the trigger first? Press 1 if you'd hold your fire, or 9 if you'd answer it head on. By noon, the Taiwan Strait returns to its deceptive calm. The sun climbs higher, waves glitter, and USS Higgins resumes her course as if nothing happened. But inside the ship, no one mistakes this silence for peace. Every sailor knows the encounter will echo far beyond these waters. Within hours, encrypted data packets leave the ship: radar logs, FLIR footage, and telemetry, all bound for Pacific Fleet Command. The chain of review begins. Analysts in Pearl Harbor, intelligence staff in Washington, diplomats at the State Department. The footage of a Chinese drone flashing across the destroyer's bow becomes the day's headline. Insurers tweak risk models. Merchant ships widen routes. In Tokyo and Canberra, staffers request copies because proof shapes policy. Beijing calls it routine monitoring. Washington calls it unsafe and unprofessional. Yet behind closed doors, both sides know what really matters: timing. The United States just proved it can absorb provocation without overreacting, while China proved it can test boundaries without crossing them, at least not yet. On board Higgins, the mood is quiet pride mixed with fatigue. The crew gathers for debrief, replaying every frame, every transmission. "We didn't flinch," the XO says simply, heads nod. They know restraint is harder than retaliation. Tactics are updated, logs refined, lessons filed where the next watch can find them. That night, the captain steps out to the deck. The sea stretches endless and dark, radar dishes glowing faintly under starlight. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the Type 52D is still there, watching, waiting. The line between peace and war feels paper thin. He watches the wake fade behind the ship, voice low but steady. "This is what the gray zone feels like," he says. "Not bullets, not missiles, just pressure and patience." And as the scene fades to black, one question remains for anyone watching. If that pressure keeps building, do you keep holding the line, or finally push back? Press 1 if you'd hold your ground, or 9 if it's time to break the silence.